Okay. There we go. Hey, now we're here.
All
We
right.
did it. We did it. Gang, welcome to the Great Lakes Fittest podcast. I'm Josh, co-director of Great Lakes Fittest competition that we're doing up here in Traverse City, Michigan on September 14th, 2024. And today I am joined by no other than the one and only Andrew Charlesworth, CrossFit Toy Boy, CrossFit Level 1 staff, Midwest affiliate representative. Welcome to the show and thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. And also, by law, since you're a CrossFit sanctioned event, I have to do specific amount of content with you. So regardless if I didn't want to be here, I still need to be here. But the funny part is I like you guys, I love you guys, and I love your gym, and I want to be here. So
dude,
that's
hey,
that.
we'll take what we can get, man. You're a busy guy. As at the time of this recording, we're on the cusp of the 2024 CrossFit Games, which I know that you are headed down to. Which is super exciting. What actually on that topic, since it's very relevant, what kind of stuff are you gonna be doing down there?
Dude, I mean, honestly, my job is a very concierge, or I don't know what the word would be. Concierge is definitely not the word. It's more like I'm meeting with affiliate owners, obviously.
Cool.
We're running the business development section for affiliates. We're in charge of a lot of the booths that CrossFit has, like the CrossFit booth. We don't necessarily have like training booth anymore versus whatever.
Yeah.
So we do that. I'm kind of hybrid in some of the partners too. Like I'll meet, I know I'm doing a panel with Hybrid AF and other things like that. So you just kind of wake up and then you have a schedule. Hopefully it's programmed into your phone. And if it's not, you just kind of run around like a chicken with your head cut off. But at least I'm not judging. So that, I've never done judging.
I was going to ask if you've ever done that before.
No, absolutely not. I actually had a job similar to this well before in 2013, 14, maybe 14 or 15, where we had our first CrossFit training booth, and I was one of the first people in that. So like I've always been like a booth vendor village guy.
Got it.
Which is, I like it.
Dude, that's
love
where
the
action's at. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Brad, depending on when this podcast comes out, we'll try to get them out like super, super quick. But my co-owner, co-director, Brad is going to be down at the game. So if you see him,
I feel like I saw him last year.
Yep, you did.
Randomly.
Yeah. He was up in Vendor Village in the affiliate space, stuff like that. Quite a bit. So yeah, you'll probably see him down there again. But yeah, that's super exciting. Dallas, I got some CrossFit Games questions, some fun stuff to do, but we'll wait till the end for that.
Yeah.
We'll get right down to business. There's a couple things that I wanted to ask you about. Being in the space for as long as you have, being a competitor yourself. I wanted to get a little bit of a background on you as an athlete and kind of where you came from, how CrossFit really kind of got you. What was it about it? And then I definitely want to talk about the competition landscape, because obviously it's changed a lot. You mentioned before we were on the air that the Great Lakes Fittest competition is one of handfuls of a CrossFit sanctioned event. And I have the terminology right on that. Which is awesome. And we're really proud of that. Obviously, we have CrossFit Gym, CrossFit Due North, and we are affiliated and we're proud to be affiliated. But across like the whole competition landscape, whether it's a CrossFit sanctioned event or not, I would love to get your perspective on that. So to go back a little bit, let's talk about you as a competitor and how you kind of came into the CrossFit space to begin with.
Wow, man, I haven't talked about that in a long time. That's funny.
Okay. It can be like quick and easy.
No, I feel like nothing's quick and easy with me. I basically found CrossFit in between being done with college basketball and like wondering if I'm going to play overseas or something like that. Like I still had that in my mind and heart that I was going to play professionally overseas. And I mean, no one really worked harder than I did in the gym when it comes to basketball. I kind of worked basketball to me, I'll look back on my life, and I have 3 kids now. And so I want to teach them how to compete and be, sports competitor. But
Yeah.
I probably took it to an unhealthy level when it comes to pressure and anxiety and et cetera. So like
Got it.
it was something where when basketball was done, I was like, all right, taking a breath. Like I'm just fucking training and like doing good in open gyms, but not really knowing where. And then, or during that time was when I got introduced to CrossFit.
Got
So
it.
I had always loved training on the off season for my sport. Like all college coaches, everything. It was like you lift too much, you lift too much, which was dumb. Like that's the dumbest thing because they don't get it. I believed them at that time, so it made me feel bad about myself. But
Oh,
so when
geez.
I found CrossFit and I learned, and it was like 2010,
Oh,
I was like, holy shit,
yeah.
there's something here, man.
Yeah.
Like this is legit.
Yeah.
Um, I want to do this. I remember like messaging Joe DeGane after I did Fran for the first time. I remember seeing Dan Bailey do it on YouTube
Yeah.
and like way faster than me.
Of
And I
course.
was and I hit him
Savage.
up. I was like, dude, this dude crushed me in it. And he's like, well, Andrew, there's CrossFit Games. Like we're growing like crazy. And I was like, shit. So that's where I started the competitive side.
Got it. Yeah.
20,
Yeah.
2012. I know I missed the regionals by 7 spots. I remember it specifically because
Oh.
I couldn't. The ring muscle ups got me. I only had a few. I was a bigger guy, and back then there weren't as many people doing this. But 2013, I made it. 2014, I made it with
Dude.
ease as an individual. But the only really thing I liked is how I was just way taller and bigger than everyone else. Honestly, it didn't even matter. Once I made it to regionals, to me that was the games because in my head I knew
Sure.
sports and math right away. I was like, "There's no fucking way that I'm going to go to the CrossFit Games at 6'3", a little over 6'3", like 235 pounds." Like
Yeah.
there's still. I mean, I love Brent Fikowski. I'm sure he's probably not going to listen to this, but he's about. I mean, I don't see someone even of his size ever being able to win at the games
Yeah.
unless they're completely changed
Yeah.
in a way that biases,
Yeah.
which is never going to happen.
Well, it's funny you mention that because right now we have Brent Fikowski. Come on into the podcast.
I love the guy. I mean, he probably knows that too. It's just
Yeah,
still,
I was listening to Chris Henshaw talk about him today, actually, on the Savant podcast, and about the swim run event that is going to be like kicking off the CrossFit Games on Thursday. You are very. I mean, I've had the pleasure. You did my level 1 years and years ago, and you've been up to our place a couple times, which is awesome. And you are a tall guy, and you move so well.
ooh,
And,
I don't know. I don't feel
well,
like I move well anymore, but
okay.
okay, appreciate it.
Well, I have a distinct memory about a workout that you did at our gym, and I can elaborate on that in a minute. But the fact that you are that tall and you were able to go to that level, as far as I'm concerned, that's really, I mean, that's super impressive. You're talking about guys like Dan Bailey that are, as tall as my chair right here.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right.
They're very short in real life.
Yeah,
That's for
yeah.
sure.
So, I mean, it's impressive, and I think that it makes sense hearing that story about you going from like a very competitive, like athletic, like what dare I say, formal athletic background into this more, again, if I can say it, like unconventional at the time.
Right.
It's more widely accepted now, of course, but like at the time, people are like, "Yo, these guys are." I mean, to be fair, I look at some of the stuff that the elites do, and I'm like, "Yo, that shit's crazy."
Oh,
Um,
it's absolutely.
but at the time, you making it to the regionals level is like, I mean, that's pretty significant. I think that that's very impressive.
No, thank you.
Sure. Um, so you kind of touched on another note that I want to go back to, talking about your kids. I suppose we'll get there. But I wanted to ask you, like, why do you think competing is important in the first place? Like, whether it be a formal sport or specifically CrossFit, what is it about doing a competition and really putting yourself out there that you find really valuable?
Wow, that's a good question. Um, so I use like there's a line in I think it's Meet the Fockers. So not Meet the Parents, but the sequel where
Yeah.
Jack Burns is talking to Ben Stiller's dad in the movie,
Hmm.
and he's like, oh, that football, that man competition, and I think Jack Burns says like, No, I believe competition's what makes America the greatest superpower, and still he answers a very CIA agent. I
Yes.
love that. I love
Yeah.
that dynamic of both of them because they're both right and they're both wrong. And so,
Hmm.
well, I look at competition in a way of like, if you never compete in life, you have absolutely no idea what your breaking point is. You have
Mm.
no idea what your boiling point is. So you may get to the end of your life and you lay there going, did I only tap 30% or did I really tap 99%? So I know for myself, I'm going to be laying in bed going, I fucking tapped 99.9 because even to this day, anything I pick up new, I'm trying to compete. I've been on and off with jujitsu for years, man. I can't, like, something happens in life or whatever. And so I joined another gym and I told the guy, I'm like, hey, I'm not here to compete. And in my head, I know at some point I'm going to do it. Why don't I just say it? Why don't I just say it? Or, when I picked up kettlebell sport, it's like, I don't just do this for fun. I wanted to break an American record. And I think there's elements to that are so important. Um, but also, I do understand that not everything has to have a competition.
Sure.
I grew up on Michael Jordan. It's
Yeah.
the guy competed on absolutely everything, but it's a huge but for people to understand. When you get into that competitive mindset or you want to be that great, understand you're not going to love the game. I don't believe that Michael Jordan loved the game the most. I think there are plenty of other, mentioned in the top 20 NBA players of all time that truly like loved the game. I think Michael used it as an avenue just for his competing addiction.
Mm.
Because if you watched
Wow.
like The Last Dance the guy would walk in and he'd be betting the guys that he's going to throw this piece of paper closer. And betting substantial amounts of money, and people know him, knows he bets a lot. I know people who personally know him,
Hmm.
and they say he's still like that today.
Wow.
So I think when you teach someone to compete, you teach them that they can also ignore the outside noise. I remember COVID hit, everyone's fighting, wanting to, I'm over here and you mask this and that, and
Yeah.
the world's ending. And I remember, I remember randomly like flipping through TV and seeing randomly Michael Jordan out of nowhere won the world's biggest marlin. Like he was like so stoked because of course he would, right? Of
Yeah.
course he
Sure.
decided I'm going to go marlin fishing, and what
Yeah.
am I going to do? I'm going to fucking dominate.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, there's a pandemic going on. Yeah, sure, whatever. It
Yeah.
just so like
It just
I don't think if you don't compete, you don't know what being serious is.
that answer that when you were talking about uh like at the end of your life wondering if you've only tapped like 30%, that's deep, man. That's like
It's scary.
that's a heavy perspective.
Well,
Like
and
in
you
a
take if you take that into everyday life, like
Mhm.
I got 3 kids.
Mhm.
The one turned 4 today, so 4, 2, and 4 months.
Wow.
Dude, fucking nuts, right?
Dude,
Like
yeah.
absolutely nuts. But that's competing, right? I'm still gonna wake up every day and like go for it, right? So if you
Yeah.
don't know how to compete on the days where, because of course this being a parent, there are days where you just want to lose your. I mean, you're probably not there yet, but there will be where you're like, I want to lose my fucking mind. Like I
Yeah.
don't know, I lost my mind. Oh, hey, time to compete. It's time to compete, Dad. Like come
Dude.
back to the table.
Yep.
So
Dude, I get it. Yeah. Well, happy birthday to
yeah, thank you.
your little guy. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean that mindset has never been more prevalent for me than it is now because I too have a 4.5-year-old and then a 13-month-old. And
Yeah,
it's like, dude, you have to show up every single day,
yeah.
and there's days that, yeah, you don't
Well,
want
you're
to.
probably close to
You,
be like when your second is around 2. That's
Mhm.
gonna be that'll
Yeah.
be a good age gap where they're going at it.
Yeah, oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. It's already begun. The great toy wars have already
Hmm.
kind of
Yeah,
begun. But anyways, that really hit. That was like I was like, yo, like that's what a great answer to that question. Yeah, and you growing up in that space, and I don't know what it was like for you, like in high school and like going through all that. But like obviously that was ingrained in you at a young age, and it continues on. It's just projected to different avenues these days, which is which is very admirable for sure. Having gone out and done we'll talk about CrossFit in particular. Having gone out and done a fair amount of competing, um, as an athlete, we'll talk about maybe the athlete and then maybe the owner, gym owner, or like affiliate representative perspective, like two different perspectives. From a competitor, what is something that you find is really, really important at a competition? Like, what's something that you look for, or something after you're done, you're like, yeah, like that was cool. Like, I'm glad that they did that, or something like that. What stands out in your mind from your days of like competing?
Oh man, that's a good one. So I do know, like way back in the day, man, I think I'm gonna butcher this. I actually think they used Great Lakes. It wasn't Great Lakes Fittest. It was in Indianapolis.
Oh, okay.
And dude, they had a big competition going. This was rare because like where you guys are at,
Hmm.
the sport has evolved, so more people are looking into it.
For sure.
GLI, Great Lakes Invitational. That's what it was.
Oh,
GLI.
okay. Wow,
Yep,
cool.
put on by Bryn Jafra. I forgot his last name, but he owned man, not Naptown, but somewhere out there.
Okay.
And I remember thinking that, so he had a theme for, you guys are gonna love this because it's basically you, but the theme was there's no weight classes in the jungle. That was the theme, right? So he marketed
Oh,
it that way. And then the year it had a huge prize person. Reebok was in it. I mean, CrossFit was at its
wow.
peak during these times. I would say this is probably 2014 or 15,
Okay.
the sport. And
Definitely.
it was 3 days, and there were invite only, and then there was an online qualifier. So I randomly got an invite through Doug Chapman, but I got
Wow.
in at like the last. I got in like the last bit. So how they did the first two workouts, where they said, guys, this is going to be the heaviest, hardest, craziest competition for 3 days. And like Marcus Hendry, Nick Forey, all these game guys were there. This was a big deal because Graham Holmberg, like all, pretty sure
Sure.
Graham was there. I can't remember, but
It's
the
Ohio.
Central
It's like,
East,
yeah, I
yeah,
was gonna
we
say it's
we had
right
the
there.
monsters. We
Yeah.
had the monsters. And the first event was clean any way humanly possible. Hang clean, squat clean, power clean, doesn't matter. Get it to your shoulder. You had 7 minutes to do a 1 rep max, and then a 7 minutes to do a 2 rep max bench. Okay.
Whoa.
And no one benched at CrossFit at that time.
Yeah.
So I was strong. I remember cleaning 330. Like that was not that common back then.
Whoa.
Can't do it
No.
anymore, but that was not common way back then. And then I benched 330 because that was the max weight because I was still coming from the meathead days of bench.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
so I got like fucking
Dude.
first, and then the following workout was you do 14 wall balls and 14 toes to bar opposite minute until you can no longer. So it was called knockout until people were just out. So that
Wow.
was like right up my alley too. So after that I got reseated, but they never, what long story, they never went away from their principles. Cause dude, it was like 225 grace. I mean, everything you could imagine. It was
Dude.
heavy, no weight classes in the jungle. And like that's why a guy like me did good, because I would argue it was biased more towards you had to be a juggernaut, man. And
Sure.
so like that's why I think it's cool what you're doing. Like you are absolutely combining some cultures because of the love of strongman
Yeah.
that you guys have. And it's just there. I know we talked about that a long time ago when you put this thing on.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah, and this is our second year. It's still going to be like a joint competition. There's going to be the strongman event happening, and there's going to be the CrossFit event happening. And George does an incredible job doing Great Lakes Strongest Man. I mean, the reason that we're able to do this in the first place is because of how George has grown his sport in this
Yeah.
area, and yeah, he's amazing. We're very fortunate. He's such a good friend, and he does just an awesome job. So, yeah, we're thrilled to be able to do that and kind of join forces. Um, from the affiliate owner slash CrossFit like HQ side of things, I'm sure that there's. I don't really want to talk about. I mean, I think having seen some competitions that didn't go so well, I think that's an interesting topic to maybe understand like what could have been done better. But what I would be interested to know is from that perspective, what you think is important as a promoter and as
Mm.
someone that is looking at it from the opposite side of
Dude,
the
I
stage.
got a good analogy, I think, for this.
Mm.
I think people who listening to this, or people who go compete, I send a team. I actually think one of my team won it. I think they
Yeah.
won it, dude.
Is that
Yeah.
Ben?
Yeah,
Down,
Ben
down,
and so the other guy on that
down
team,
with the thickness.
Brandon
That's
Hill.
yeah.
Yeah, so the fittest on that team was Brennan. He's the guy who he's unfortunately he's like as fit as you can be, but it's so hard to get into that semifinal. Like he could go compete with any of the semifinalists. It's
Yeah,
just it's sometimes getting there is hard. Like he
for
could go
sure.
compete at the games. And then Brandon Hill wrestled at the University of Michigan, and he was at the jiu-jitsu gym with me originally, the old one I was at. And he's the type of guy where, you showed him something,
Hmm.
he did it, and then if he couldn't do it, he would stay in the gym until he figured and then has the mental capacity to just run through a wall.
Got it. Yeah,
You don't wrestle at University of Michigan not have that.
it's
But
true.
those guys, like, what puts on a good competition is they probably, they left telling me how amazing it was. It's like the content you guys did, the prizes, the organization, the judging. And what I want people to understand is like, oh my God, I get hit up so many times for people being like, hey, can you promote my local
Yeah,
competition? And if you're listening to this, the answer is no. And it's not because I don't love you or care. It's just
right.
there's thousands of these little tiny throwdowns, and I think they're great. And you are doing something different. So I'm looking at it in terms of real estate.
Yeah,
Let's just say I want to be a real estate investor and I go buy a small house and I like rent it out and stuff. There's I Grant Cardone's not going to be super stoked or care that much. But if I start buying buildings in New York and I have to put this type of money in and effort in, and I'm going to be seen by some bigger investors.
that's right.
You are doing the second. You are spending the money. You are. This is not like a small little tiny thing. Like you have went all
True.
in on this, and
Yeah,
it does not mean that you're coming out of this thing with a paycheck. It
that's
means
right.
that you're trying to build something. You're trying to build and you're already doing it. You're trying to build a legacy competition where in the future, yes, maybe it is something that's profitable, or maybe it's something that you guys
Sure.
are well known for, but that takes time, and you have to continuously do the shit that you don't want to do to promote it, to get it ready, to call this vendor, to do like that is not fun,
Yeah,
in my
I
opinion.
agree. I agree.
Okay, and
Yeah,
that's okay. And
yeah.
Stu Brower, a lot of people know him.
Oh boy.
I'm buddies with Stu. We have a
Yep.
great conversations.
Mhm.
But he came on and told people on one of my business calls, like, basically told them how hard it is to own a building. Everyone's like, "Oh, I'll just buy my building," right? It's like, yeah, so
It's not that
it's not
easy.
just like you buy your building and become a millionaire.
Yeah,
There's a lot of shit that goes into that, and a lot of things that can go wrong.
yeah.
Um, and a lot of years before you would actually see some cash flow. So, like, I don't know. That was a really long-winded thing. There's not a lot of people doing. There's a guy in another one. Scott Malloy. He's out of
Gosh, that name sounds familiar.
yeah, I think
Malloy.
is it yeah, Cuyahoga Valley CrossFit. No, but he's doing something with once again. He paid for the
Okay.
CrossFit sponsorship
Yeah, yeah.
in Ohio. So
Hmm.
I mean, other than that,
Is it CrossFit Crown?
no, God, I
No,
forget
that's
its
not it.
affiliate. I'll have to
Okay,
look it
well,
up.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But boy, the name sounds familiar. Well, that's great. I mean, that's all. Like for the record, I mean, that means a ton to us. This was not like scripted. I'm not fishing or anything like that. It like that was
Oh
a,
no, I know you're not.
just a genuine question about for someone that has been in the game as long as you have, like you know things things kind of like blaze up and things kind of kick up and things there's different like there's ebbs and flows of things. And
Yeah,
right now I would say I feel like CrossFit's under a lot of critical fire, which I think
yeah.
is it's probably another topic for another podcast. I don't understand it all that well. It seems like it's really popular again. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just
I
like in
think
my own
so.
head, but I
I
feel
use
like there's a lot of
Nike.
action right now.
Another analogy. I'm going to bring up Nike is like Nike's a publicly traded company. If you just uh, I heard the stat today too. Like Fidelity, Charles Schwab, all these people are trying to like hammer on Robinhood because They are
Mm.
losing. Robinhood is taking over the entire world of people like you and I who invest,
Yeah, yeah.
and they've gamified it because they have a better mousetrap, and everyone's trying to be like, oh no, you no. It's an easier mousetrap to log on and to have zero trading fees and to like be hip and oh, I get this. This makes sense.
Totally. Yep.
I think that if people logged onto their Robinhood and looked at Nike stock year to date, I can do that right now for you guys. I believe, see, as quick as I said that, I can get it for you. I believe year to date, Nike is down 32%. That is a huge loss. I think Lululemon's down even more.
Damn.
Cross is not a publicly traded company. So all we have is like media and people talking shit.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
what's funny is that we're such a close community as well that we care about what the others say and think.
It's
That's
true.
how
Yeah.
CrossFit was created. So like
Mhm.
everyone has a voice in the room, and I do love that. But I like, let's say CrossFit was a publicly traded company, which we're not. We're not. That's not the goal. Um, I don't think we would be down that bad. Whereas something like Nike, you literally look at Nike like, oh, their earnings are terrible.
Yeah.
People are not buying Nike clothes and shoes and et cetera. And, so I don't think there's as much fire as people would think.
Yeah,
I don't
and
know.
it's cool to hear you say that because obviously you have a unique perspective that perhaps a lot of us don't. And that's how I mean that's how I feel too. But again, I'm up at we're up here in northern Michigan. We might be in this like little like enclosed thing, but there's just like an abundance of people criticizing right now. And sure, like if you're a company that's trying to do things and make moves and especially make changes, that's just the nature of it. You're not going to make everybody happy, and that's just how it goes. But it just seems like there's more vocal people right now, and
Yeah.
maybe that could just be the climate that we're in. But I mean, we're super happy and super stoked to like continue to like carry that torch, and promote it and be a part of it. And like you said, our intention with this competition is for it to grow into a much larger thing. Like it, and I don't say that with any ego. It's just like the way that we saw Great Lakes Strongest Man and George do his thing. It was like, man, like that being a part of that before the CrossFit side even came into fruition. Like me and Brad volunteered every year. It started at CrossFit Due North. It started at our gym, and it was definitely a fire hazard, like that many people in our gym.
Yeah.
But by year two, it was like we can't do it here anymore because it's getting too
No.
big, and it
Are you
literally
guys
just
sold out this year?
Great Lakes Strongest Man is. Yeah, we have a
Okay.
couple spots left for Great Lakes Fittest. Not much. Three spots left at the time of this recording. Yes.
So more than
Um,
likely those are going to get filled. So you're going to sell out
yeah,
2 years in a row
yeah, yep. And
because you
Great Lakes. Oh, go
you
ahead.
sold out last year, didn't you?
Yeah, and Great Lakes Strongest Man sold out months ago. So it's like it's a thing. It's becoming
Yeah.
more of a thing. So yeah, that's I really appreciate your kind words. That means a lot. And it is something that like we have like a vision for it to like continue on. So
Well, it's scary, and growth is scary too because I could sit here and
mhm,
because I'm from Michigan,
mhm.
and they, once again, use this as much as you want, get any clicks or cut it up. But like Traverse City is the ultimate destination to take your family. Like it is one of the coolest places on earth.
Yeah.
There's a reason that in September, like going up there would be the most amazing thing to do to bring your family to, whether it's camping or going on the water. Like there's just so much to do. And
Yeah.
if you're unfamiliar with northern Michigan, which I think you guys are going to grow big enough to where people are literally going to be like, where's this Traverse City?
Yeah,
Um, but then they're going to realize like, wow, this is one of the most beautiful places in the planet.
dude,
And
yeah.
that is, it is like, I love it up there. Everyone loves it up there.
It's cool. It's like you said, that time of year is really, it's really nice, really special time of year, and we want to keep providing like this experience. And you were talking about like the experience of like a competition, and we want to obviously give good workouts and good programming and good judging and all that stuff is really big on our mind. I think about the judging is something that I've gone to so many competitions, and it's been like, yo, you're not gonna call that like That's
Yeah,
nuts. I mean, and so one of the things we're not going to be have like magnifying glasses out, or but it's like we want to uphold the standard, and CrossFit in my mind has always been about upholding a standard. Uh,
100%.
and that could be from movement, that could be from, integrity, like with your workouts, like you get people that shave reps just because they want to be at the top of the whiteboard, that, will do different things with different weights, and like, so it's always been a practice of integrity to do CrossFit in my mind. And expressing that on the competition floor has been important to us, meaning like me and Brad, since the inception of our gym, let alone the inception of this competition. So that's something that we want to continue to carry on while providing a really fun and exciting event for everybody. So yeah, man.
Sweet.
Yeah. Before we go, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you a couple of rapid fire questions about the
Cool.
2024 CrossFit Games. All right. You ready?
Go ahead.
All right. Top Chad time, men and women.
All right. So I don't know the twists
Is it going to be step
yet.
overs?
Yeah, like I don't know the twist yet. I'm gonna say 37 minutes.
Okay.
Men, 37 minutes men, 39 women.
Wow. I'm going to write this down because when Andrew's right, and this has been recorded before the games, there you go.
That'd
We
be
want
funny.
to make it mile times. Well, I should say
Uh-huh.
1600. It's 4 laps around. So I guess
Yeah.
according to Chris Henshaw, it's just shy of a mile by like 3 meters or something. He's like, I don't want to get people yelling at me on the internet. Top time, male.
We should have a five. We should have a 5:03 male, and probably a 5:10 to 5:12 female. I would imagine.
That's wild.
Man, that's gonna hurt so bad, and I love it.
So I just heard at again, time of this recording, Dave Castro talked about how they were going to do the sprint carry event before the mile, and they did testing on it, and the athletes were like, we should do it the other way around, because they
Yeah.
wanted to come in and rock at a mile and like just
Right.
like set PRs and like let it be this like event. And if you're going in fatigued, people are at different levels of, recovery
Yeah.
and things like that, and it's just not an honest test. So Dave actually changed it and like decided to go
Nice.
that route, which I think is really cool, like really really cool. um and then obviously after Chad, like the clean ladder is coming up. The top women's weight I believe is 250, and the top men's weight I believe is 360, which is nuts. What athlete stands out in your mind, both men and women? Maybe not to win. If they win, awesome. But like, what athletes stand out in your mind to go really far in this ladder, if not win it?
Is it Dallin Pepper or is that the dude who cleaned
Dallin.
four?
Oh, that's
No, what's that?
Jack Farlow. Jack Farlow.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, he's going to dominate just because. I mean, that's just a math equation. If you
That's
can
true.
clean that much
Mm-hmm.
more and you're fit enough, because none of these guys are going to lack muscular endurance. I mean, some will be better than others,
Sure.
but at this level, so I mean, I think he's going to crush it. The dude who
Yeah.
cleaned 400, who looks like a kid.
Yeah.
If that's the Jack.
I think it's
dude,
Jack Farlow.
I've said this for a while with Laura. I think she's untouchable due to her build. I don't think people realize when you have that I mean, the way she's built.
Mhm.
Anthropometrics play such an important role, not only in range of motion, but her core can just take more. It's so much more than other women that it's like not even funny. And she then worked her ass off on her weaknesses. I think she's going to be untouchable.
That, I mean, and specifically in weightlifting, I'm pretty sure that she won like a national
Mhm.
championship for her
Yeah.
country, like weightlifting,
Yeah.
just kind of like Tia did. She just like kind of got into it and was like, well, I guess we'll
Mhm.
try it, and then she ends up winning. So that will be exciting. I think that you're right. I think people are overlooking Laura Horvath big time this year. I think a lot of people are looking at, obviously Tia's back and it's a big deal, but there's a lot of people paying attention to like Emma Lawson. And Danielle Brandon's out there, which is, we'll see how she does, podium wise, but it's like I don't hear a lot of people talking about Laura, and it's like, yo, like this is a bit like you're just gonna forget about her. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Well, she's not as fun to talk about as the others, I'm guessing, but she's a beast.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, cool. Andrew, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. Really, really, truly appreciate it. And yeah, wish you the best and hope to see you soon, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say hi to Brad out there and good luck
Yeah.
coming up.
Yeah, dude. Do it. All right, buddy.
Okay.
Thank you so much. See ya.
All right. See you, bud. Bye.